Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story TV and the Her Story podcast. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Taryn Rose, and I'm calling in from Beverly Hills, California. My story is an incredible journey that started in Vietnam, where I was born. And I came to the United States as a refugee at the end of the Vietnam War. I can still remember piling into the transport airplane at the airport and sitting on the floor. And it really struck me when I saw the same images of the Afghans that were being airlifted out at the end of the war in Afghanistan. So we were able to escape, which was so fortunate because many did not, and they suffered so much at the beginning of the communist regime there. We came to a small state in the United States called Arkansas. In fact, the town was called Fort Smith, Arkansas. And it was incredible how my father, who didn't know anyone in Arkansas, was able to find someone that would actually sponsor him and our family to be financially responsible. And how he did it was he is a physician. He was a physician. He's now retired. He said, you know, I'm just going to go to the phone booth and look through the yellow pages and start cold calling physicians that were listed. And he actually found someone who owned the hospital in the small city. And you know, that's how we got started in the United States. I forgot to mention at the beginning that I'm 55 years old because I don't feel 55. I feel much younger. My journey has always been about different adventures. I am, as someone said today, a hunter of new ideas and new projects. So after we left Arkansas, we moved to California, and I went to school at the University of California, Irvine, and got a degree in biology and in philosophy because I really didn't know what to do. I was still on the hunt. And because in Asian families, we are really pressured to become physicians, especially if you are the eldest, and follow in my father's footstep, I decided, okay, I'll go to medical school. And it's the path of least resistance. I was actually really good at biology. It didn't take a lot of work for me. So I applied to medical school and was accepted at the University of Southern California School of Medicine. And I entered actually with the idea that I was going to become a dermatologist and start a cosmeceutical company because I've always been entrepreneurial. It's part of that hunt. It's like, what can I grab on as a project to start next, right? And the reason I thought of cosmeceuticals is that during college, I was working at Estee Lauder as at this cosmetic counter, and I loved it. I just thought it was so great to figure out how to market and sell and earn commission. So that was my plan, and of course, things completely changed because that's how plans go, right? And I actually fell in love with the field of orthopedics. I just really admired a particular surgeon who came to lecture to us. And um, unbeknownst to me, it was a very hard field to get into, particularly if you are a woman of color and if you are smaller. The people who normally get accepted were very athletic white men. That's, they're known as the ortho bros. So I always believe that there's a part of your life that needs an element of luck. If anyone is honest about their success, of course, there's hard work, there's intelligence, there's perseverance, but you always need that tinge of luck. And my luck at that time was that there was a new incoming chairman of the Department of Orthopedics at USC who had daughters. And he said, we have a field of only less than 5% women. Today it's still at 8%, so we haven't made great strides. But for Dr. Patzakis, who was the chairman, he said, I see how my daughters struggle to get ahead in their fields, and I don't want that to happen to the women in orthopedics. And in fact, he and another physician really promoted women in our program. And their rationale was women are becoming 50% of the medical school class. So if we're not considering strong female candidates, we are not getting the best of the best into our field. At any rate, that year, it went from one woman in 60 spots in the program to accepting 3 of us women in our year. Actually 4. Yeah, we had 4. So it was a great increase, and I had such a great education and training at LA County USC. I saw a lot of trauma, and it was incredibly hard work. There was a lot of call, but I learned so much of how to be independent, how to really think for myself and solve problems. And it really empowered me to be who I am today. So during the residency, the training that I had, it was required for me to do a research project. And I decided to do it on diabetic footwear because when I was in diabetes foot clinic, I saw that so many people were having problems with ulcers and amputations because they were not compliant with their footwear. And the number one reason for their non-compliance was they said, I hate the way this looks. They make me look like, Frankenstein. So I somehow convinced Nike to help me create new shoes that were more aesthetically pleasing. And when we used our newly designed shoes, we were able to show the increase in compliance and decrease in ulcers and amputations in our research population. So it was a very exciting time. And when I graduated, I realized that if I didn't try to pursue some sort of entrepreneurial endeavor, I would really miss the hunt. And it just seemed like a very almost dark future to think, I'm going to go and sort of have a steady job, a very nice life. You can't complain. But still, I was going to miss that excitement of creating something new that the world has never seen before. So I decided I'm going to start a shoe company. And I didn't go into diabetic shoes because I wanted to do something more creative, like in fashion. So because I was I still am, or at least I hope I am, a very fashionable woman. I wore heels throughout the hospital, and I was always sort of fixing them and tweaking them to make them more comfortable. And I realized that if shoes were made for women correctly in the first place, we wouldn't have to go through all of this. And at that time in 1997, the options were you had comfortable but quite ugly and very poorly made shoes, or very beautiful and well done shoes that were very uncomfortable. There was nothing that was a hybrid. So I've actually been credited for starting an entirely new niche in shoes called salon comfort. So I brought all of the luxury and the beautiful techniques of luxury Italian shoes and added in comfort features, including high-tech materials like Poron, which was originally developed for the NASA program and used on the space shuttle. So it was just so exciting to me to see this whole new sector, this whole new niche come to life. And at the time, I remember thinking, okay, I would rather fail than regret never having tried. So my number one model is I fear regret much more than failure. So I think if someone can embrace that, you can do anything. But I had a backup plan. I said, I'm going to give this 2 years. And if it's not a success in 2 years, I will go back and get a fellowship in hand surgery. And the rest is history. 10 years later, I was able to sell my company after I took it to 40 million in sales. And by that time, I had 3 young children. So it was a good time to exit for a while, to spend more time with my children. And it was great. The other day, my 17-year-old, my youngest now, said to me, I remembered that you were always around, and it was really great. So again, perfect timing. And by the way, here's another bit of luck in my life. I received my wire transfer 2 weeks before the Great Recession started. I mean, I have met so many entrepreneurs that were in the middle of a sale and everything blew apart once the recession started. So again, it was just a bit of luck that I needed. Part of that was I also sensed something was up. I could, even though all of the reports were saying, luxury was never going to die, I could sense it in the marketplace. It was slowing down because I met with my customers every year. I was on the selling floor, meeting who was buying my shoes and getting to know that customer. And I saw that she went from buying maybe 4, 5, 6 pairs to 2 pairs in the year right before the recession. So I think that the other thing I would advise women to do is really trust their gut. And I remember even calling the lawyer after 6 months of negotiations. And I said, why have we still not completed this transaction? And he said, well, we're still haggling about 3 points. And they were minor enough that I said, you know what, just give it to them. Let them have those 3 points. I don't care. And let this be done. And thank goodness I did that because, like I said, everything was closed and everything transferred 2 weeks before the Great Recession. So I spent a few years just retired, and I had a non-compete. So I was out of the industry. And I just enjoyed raising my children and exploring new ideas. And after my non-compete was over, I received a message from someone from my past that I had met when I was first starting my first shoe line that was named after me, Taryn Rose. And this person is, his name is Enrico Queenie. He was the best friend of the 2 Italian men who helped me in the shoe industry when I first started. They were like the 3 musketeers. And I'd really forgotten about him, but he never forgot about me. And when it was time that he had this invention for more comfortable high heels, he thought of me and came calling. And when I saw what was sitting on my dining room table, I said, oh my goodness, this is the next revolution. I have to be a part of this. This is really going to change how women can wear heels. And I was so excited. And the reason I could see the difference in what he had invented was because he dealt with the physics of wearing high heels. Um, and let me explain this maybe in a way that is a little bit easier to imagine. Um, in in the past, we have thought of the human body and the feet like a high-rise building, like the Empire State Building, where there's only compression pressure. So when you're trying to um, alleviate that kind of pressure, it's about cushioning. You're trying to decrease that compression, right? But we have come to realize that the foot has what's called tensegrity, meaning it has both tension forces and compression forces. So it's built like a dome. In fact, we have three arches in the foot to create a dome in your midfoot. And what Enrico had invented, it really addressed how to support a dome rather than an Empire State Building. So I said, that's it. He's got it. And so today we call this technology ALIA. It is patented and proprietary to us. And ALIA means, it's an acronym for Active Lift in Alignment, but it's also a word that means elevate. And that's exactly what we do. We elevate women to a whole new level, your comfort to a whole new level. So, I'm so excited that I'm now back in the shoe business and starting to innovate in an entirely different way.
Your story is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
It is so inspiring to hear of a woman who plucked up the courage to do something that is completely outside of your comfort zone, completely new and innovative, and in a space where you wouldn't normally expect to find this. Now, if there was a woman who's listening to this interview right now, she has an idea, she's scared, she's not sure of herself. Based on what life has taught you to bring this to this point, what three nuggets of wisdom would you give her to get her started?
I think what I mentioned before, the number one thing is to actually embrace the idea of failure. Because I think most of us have a fear of failure. We think we're going to be embarrassed. We think we are going to be shamed. And I was able to reach a point where I said, I don't care. I don't care what other people think. They'll think I'm crazy. And if I fail, they'll be able to say, I told you so. But I didn't care what others thought. I only cared what my inner voice was telling me, which is, if you don't try this, you are going to regret it. You're going to look back at the end of your life and say, I wish I had done it. I wish I had tried. So I think that's the number one thing. Number two thing is that everything is risky, but you can mitigate risks. You can have calculated risks. I was just listening to a podcast about this gentleman who climbed all 10 of the highest peaks in the world in 6 months. That is now the record. Prior to him, it was in 8 years. And someone said, isn't that risky? And he said, of course it is, but it's a calculated risk. So what that forces you to do is go in with a clear eye, with really thinking about, okay, here are all the potential pitfalls and how will I address it if it occurs. Now, of course, things can happen. For example, who knew we would be in a pandemic, right? So you can't control that, but you can't let these unknowns also control your life. So look at the risk, embrace it, and make the right calculations to mitigate for the risks. And I think the third thing would be to do something that really gives you joy, to really get you excited and stimulate both your intellect and your creativity. that's just nirvana. So I'm very blessed to have had a life where I was able to do that.
Absolutely amazing. Now, if I was to teleport you into the future, you're now 100 years old, or maybe 120, based on how you look. You don't look 55 at all.
Thank
And you
you.
could have a conversation with this wise woman who has led you to that point. What would you say to her based on how you're living your life right now?
I would say thank you for believing in me. Thank you for not being so critical of me that is that I think we all deal with that inner voice that criticizes. You're not good enough. You are not smart enough. You are not thin enough, not pretty enough, whatever it is. It's that enough word. Well, here it is. Once you decide that you are enough, that you are the best that you can manifest, and just allow yourself to be and bloom, I think that just takes away the handcuffs that we literally force on ourselves. um, I I had this idea at one time when I said, being a doctor, you're taught that if you're not the best in the class, if you're not the smartest one in the room, you might not get the position that you want. Or, it's just such a competitive environment. What's great about leaving that is to see that as a leader, you don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to be the most communicative and clear about your goals, and inclusive in the effort, and build an environment of inclusivity in your company so that everyone is rowing in the same direction. And it was actually quite a great relief not to feel like I had to know it all. So I'm very grateful for that.
Now, is there anything I should have asked you in this interview and I didn't?
um, I suppose I have very few hobbies, actually. I joke that I pick up companies instead of hobbies, but I do love to ski. At the age of 42, I was in my first downhill ski race, and I'm very proud of that. I still have the medals.
You are always up for a challenge and also doing something that you've never done before, which is just amazing.
Yes,
Again,
and it's never too late. Well, it's never too late.
yeah, you really prove that age is just a number. You can start at whatever point you are in life to do the things you want to do. So that
That's right.
is very, very inspiring. So, where can people get these shoes? Do you have a website?
Yes, it's called enricoqueenie.com. And our model is very different. You send in your pictures, and we look at your pictures, and we make the shoes made to measure for you. So it's the ultimate in comfort, because it's about our technology, and it's about making shoes exactly for you. If you ask what size am I, it's your size, whatever your size is. We will make it for you. And we study the pictures to make sure that we adjust for, the your proportions. Some people are wider. They have bunions, bunionettes. So we look at all of that, and it can all be done virtual, or we hold events all around the country, and that schedule is on our website as well.
Fantastic. So I've got your website playing at the bottom of the screen.
Oh,
If anybody has got unique feet and you want those custom made shoes that are specifically tailored for you, go onto this website and find out about this amazing brand. Thank you so much for coming online today and gracing us with your presence and sharing this amazing story. This
thank you
makes
very
me want to wake up every day and do what I'm doing when I meet women like you. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. I'll be back again tomorrow with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And bye for now. Thanks again. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.